impactful community resonance here that's also attached as well to Opportunity Knocks. They're not just breweries who like Opportunity Knocks or are near Opportunity Knocks. There are strong partners, all four of them. They're heavily affiliated with Opportunity Knocks, and that kind of speaks to their outreach and their community programs, which is a reflection of an awful lot of independent brewers in and around the Illinois area. So it's wonderful to have them here. It's great that they're all represented and they're all going to be talking to you guys, because I don't know about you, but whenever I pick up a beer, I'm very interested and curious about the story behind it. That's part of what resonates with craft beer enthusiasts like yourselves. So it's great to get an insight from people who are inside the industry and can talk you through it. So everyone should have their wonderful array of beer from our different breweries tonight. I've got mine on display because that's about as much as I'm going to see them all together within the next 12 hours to 48 hours, especially with the Super Bowl around the corner too. So I'm excited to pass off. We're going to have a little open Q&A as well after this. So if anyone has any questions about brewing methods, about the different breweries themselves, about where they're located, what they offer, blah, 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 you guys can throw out any kind of questions you have at the end of this. But right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw it off to our first brewery, which coincidentally has been on my show, Chicago's Best. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to go there myself. But Catherine from Exit Strategy is going to take over from here, talk about some of the beers that they've supplied you guys tonight, and generally upstage me with my terribleness about talking about beer. So Catherine, feel free to take the floor and take it away.
Wonderful. Hey, everybody. Happy Friday night. So you're getting both. So my husband and I are both on. He's in the basement, and I am in the kitchen. And
is that a reflection of how lockdown has gone, Catherine?
No, we are surprisingly proud of how well we've done being life partners, now nonstop house partners, work partners, all of the partnership, and everyone is still standing. There are very few visible bruises on Chris, and yeah, I mean,
Chris.
It's fair. Yeah, no, I mean, I hide them. It's fine. Fine. So yeah, we'll go ahead. Chris and I will tag team. We'll tag team the beer part, and we can talk about the shop and whatnot. So we're Exit Strategy. We are in Forest Park. We are the one and only brewery in Forest Park, which is nifty. We're at the corner of Jackson and Madison. I see familiar faces on the Zoom, so I'm very excited about that. Tonight we have brought to the party three beers that we're proud of all of our beers, but three beers that we're really excited about. You've got Posthumulus, which is your can with the, it just says label is just ridiculous. It's so cool. So you've got Posthumulus. That one its name is actually a hybrid of two words. It is not posthumous. It is Posthumulus. So this beer was named in tribute to Forest Park. We have more dead residents than we do living residents. So we took posthumous and then added in the genus of the hop. So Posthumulus in homage to Forest Park. This guy is an IPA, an absolutely gorgeous beer. This one is done primarily with Azaka hops, which present with mango on the nose. If I could make a beer into a candle, I would smell this all day long. I would smell it all day long. This is one of our core portfolio beers. Post has been around since day one and will always be around. It's just a great beer. One of the things that I'm most proud about when it comes to our IPAs is that they finish really clean. And this is just a testament to Christopher's skill. And they're wonderful. So we've got this one. Are you Jim? I'm just bragging on my man, babe. Anyway, so we've got this one. The next one, and I don't have a can of it with me because this would be aggressive on the countertop. You've got Bling It On. That's the blue and white label with, there it is. So this is one of our many Psych beers. We're huge fans of the show Psych. So Bling It On is one of our Psych named beers. This is a blueberry, Meyer lemon, and vanilla kettle sour. It's just, I mean, it is just knock your socks off. It is so good. And it actually has like matured as it's been in cans. And right now it is just like, it's mind boggling. The vanilla is coming through. It's really, really beautiful. And it's not the kind of sour where you're like, oh my God, I don't do sour. It's not like sucking the dust out of the bottom of the Sour Patch Kids bag that like hits you here. It's not that kind of sour. It's the kind of sour where you're like, oh, this is like a sour thing, but a very pleasant sour thing. The vanilla and the lactose used in the brewing process really kind of rounded out at the back end and things like that. Babes, do you want to talk about Who Brought the Dog?
So we've been getting more into the hazy IPAs. Yeah, and there's that. So that is one of our most recent releases in that family. So it's a mixed grain bill between barley and then wheat and then flaked and malted oats. Kind of gives it more of a creamy, more of a little bit more body to it. And then most of the hops, unlike, so like post-Cumulus, there's a fair amount of bittering hops. So you have a significant amount of IBUs present in the beer, which are just basically how you measure the degree of bitterness. These, the New England styles that we're doing are minimally bitter. Basically, no hops even hit that kettle until we're at the whirlpool stage of it. And then they are more heavily dry hopped than most of our any other type of IPA we produce. So that one is, oh boy, I don't know, Citra, El Dorado, and Sabro. So those are three pretty popular hop styles. A lot of citrus flavors, a lot of some tangerine, a little bit of coconut from Sabro. Just get a lot of like the more tropical fruit, and so we also dry hop those at a higher rate, so the like pounds per barrel hops are pretty high. So you get a lot of aroma and flavor out of them.
Is the beer itself a tribute to Rick Moranis, or is that just because you guys love Ghostbusters?
It is a direct Ghostbusters quote. We also have one on tap right now at the shop that we made before we got shut down and called Yes Have Some. So they're two direct Ghostbuster references. And then I think this one we just kind of named on the fly because we were like, oh, we got to get a label done for this. So what do you want to call it? And then it was pretty quickly turned around. So. And
it was about the same. Yeah, it was around the same time as Rick Moranis's thing that was going on, and yes, Ghostbusters for life. And the label on that one, if you look at the label, it's a French bulldog with a little hop for a nose. Ooh, so cute. Yeah, it's real. So that's in tribute to our little guy, Rufus. And yeah, so Who Brought the Dog? French bulldog, hop nose, which is, there's nothing cuter in the world except Jim. And
Freaky.
So yeah, those are the three that we've contributed tonight. What else would you like? You tell me where to go.
Well, I was just going to say the chat is now open. So if people want to put messages on the chat, we've already got some. Marie, is it Mari or Marie? I'm not too sure, and I'm terrible at butchering names, so I apologize. But please do remember that I am foreign, so English names are very difficult for me to pronounce. Mary or Mary's sour didn't even make it to the Zoom. That's how excited she was to try it.
It was so good, so good.
Someone was asking, are we supposed to be tasting these now? So there is a lot of beer here. There is an excessive amount of ABV on offer for your pleasure. You do not have to feel like you have to drink the entire catalog of beers that we're talking about and sampling tonight. Feel free at your own pace. Open one, open several. If you're sharing with other people, share and enjoy with friends. But it's like to be enjoyed at your own pace. But additionally, like I mentioned, the chat's now open. So if you guys have questions that the brewers want to answer now, but we're also going to have an open forum kind of Q&A session at the end where all the brewers will take part, talk about whatever you want to know about the breweries or beer in particular. So throw those in the message.
Are we answering them as they pop up, or are you guys feeding the questions to us?
Catherine, you're making this look like a very unprofessional setup right now, like we haven't discussed this prior. As you know from the 35 conference calls that we all had prior to this, we don't really know what we're going to do. So we'll tackle that as it comes in. But Sure. I
just
mean,
be my beer.
if there are questions that coming in through the private chat, we'll reference them. But you guys have a great location, and you're serving food as well. Are you guys currently open now that we've returned back to 25% capacity?
100% no, absolutely
100%
not.
no?
Nope.
But people can place pickup orders, and they can get different pickup orders and online deliveries, that kind of thing.
We are a 100% carry out model, but there's human interaction with it. You have to call the shop to place your orders. You've got to walk into the shop to pick up your orders. It's a streamlined process, one-way path. We believe that it is far too soon and not publicly safe to offer indoor dining, and that's just our personal stance. We're not ready to have people back in the space. My staff is not ready to have people back in the space, so we are continuing the carry out model until we open the patio, which will be the end of March. You can place online orders, but again, you got to come to the tap room and pick them up. We do not do delivery, and we don't. That's not our. I'm frankly far too much of a control freak to have any other person other than myself and my staff touching our product. So we don't have anybody taking it out the door. Because then it's up to somebody else and not us. So we are vehemently against starting indoor right now. And again, that's just that's just us. We're going to do one metered entry outdoor event in early March that we'll be posting about. And then, once we get the patio open, we will run with outdoor dining until the weather breaks, which I don't know. I mean, with the way that the week is, it could be in July that we get decent weather. And when fingers crossed for July. How about it?
I'll drink to that.
No joke. The snow mound at the end of my street from just this past week will be here till August. It will not melt.
I'm going to blame Chris for that. I kind of see that as Chris's responsibility. So, Chris, that falls on you.
You're not wrong.
That's fair.
So before we move on to Jim from Oak Park Brewing, do you guys have an antithesis for your style of brewing? Is there a model that you guys go to? Do you just fly freewheel and it's like, this week we want to do a sour, this week we want to do a West Coast, this week we want to do a hazy? Is there method to the madness, or do you guys just be like, let's do this? How do you guys, adhere to your brewing?
Well, so for a lot of our 16 lines, 12 are kind of dedicated to our core portfolio, which are beers that were developed either during homebrew days or shortly after we were open. So those 12 beers kind of are representative of a pretty broad variety of styles that we make on a regular basis. And then we have another 4 lines which we dedicate for lab beers. So those are kind of more where you'll see our hazy IPAs or sours, or if we're going to do a bigger stout or something else like a Belgian double, triple, whatever we're kind of feeling like doing at that point, depending on the time of year. So we kind of dedicate those 4 lines for that. And then we also, now that we're doing more of a canning on a regular basis, since we're more of an off-premise model at this point, since we're not really serving on site, the canning is kind of getting ramped up. So you'll see maybe a few additional options on our, in that regard, but those are generally one-offs as well.
Nice. So before we move on, what's the website or what's the easiest link for people to remember if they want to check out and grab some more Exit Strategy? ExitStrategyBrewing.com is the website, and then we are Facebook and Instagram active, like real active. So social media is where we do all of our announcements. Everything that we announce, we do there. So that's the best. Exit Strategy Brewing Company, Facebook and Instagram. I don't understand Twitter, so I don't do that. And I for sure don't understand TikTok or the Snappy Chats. So we don't do those. Okay, it's the first time I've ever heard it called TikTok, but I like that. I might use that. I'm going to steal that from you, Catherine. All right. Thank you, Catherine and Chris. We're going to move on now because we've got so much more to get through and so many different great breweries to feature. So we're going to move on to Jim from Oak Park Brewing. And Jim has a couple of fantastic beers that you guys will have in your kit that you received, and many more that Oak Park Brewing do so well. So Jim, do you want to take the floor and talk a little bit about Oak Park?
Hey guys, yeah. So for the record, Chris, I think you're a wonderful brewer. I was just giving you shit as always. And the same to you, Sean, and to you, Keith and Steve and all of our community members, I think are really, we are truly blessed to have 4 really great breweries right around. And I've been critical of other breweries in the past, so I'm not like just fluffing them. I really do think all of them are great. Anyway, I'm Jim. I'm the owner of Oak Park Brewing. I'm the head brewer there. Today that we have for you is a saison. This is a pretty, yeah, thank you. Yep, that's it. It's actually what I'm drinking right now. It's a pretty classic saison. I would say we have an ethos about how we brew or what we choose to brew at Oak Park Brewing. I would say the closest brewery to my model is, or what has influenced me the most, is Great Lakes Brewing out of Cleveland, where we brew everything is classic styles, right down the middle, not a lot of frills. It's just my philosophy on it, and everybody's different. So this saison is modeled very much after Saison DuPont, which is, in my opinion, the most quintessential saison that there is. It is Pilsner malt, wheat, and some Belgian candy sugar. I think there might be one other, like a Vienna or something like that in there. Can't remember off the top of my head. It's been a little while since I've brewed, unfortunately.
One question I did have, Jim. What is, because I mean, it's something that I probably out of my ignorance I haven't seen before. What is Belgian candy sugar?
Oh, yeah.
What is it, and what does it bring?
So Belgian candy sugar is it's a crystal sugar. Sometimes it's made in a liquid form, made out of beetroot, that is been traditionally used in Belgium and other countries in Europe in their brewing history. What it does is it will knock up the alcohol content without bringing an additional sweetness. I know you're thinking sugar should bring sweetness, but in the case of Belgian candy sugar, it is 100% fermentable, so the yeast will take care of it entirely, and it just ends up kind of drying it out a little bit. And saison is probably, if I could think of one beer that's supposed to be very, very dry, it's saison. So what you're going to get out of this one is sort of like a citrusy Belgian funk with also a lot of dryness behind it as well. It's a very versatile beer. It can be any range of colors, any range of alcohol levels. It's really, in a lot of ways, a very open format beer. In this case, I happen to try to model it after Saison DuPont because that's, like, I think the most, like I said, the most quintessential plutonic whatever saison that you can think of. And I'm also a big fan of it, and it goes well with a lot of food because of the dryness. It really kind of helps cut the fat. And when you own a burger joint, I think it goes well with a lot of stuff. Speaking of which, a lot of you may know that currently we are closed. We have not been open since mid-November. We are hoping to open very soon. We're kind of waiting for our PPP loan to hit the bank, and then we've got a lot of plans. We're also have been reformatting ourselves to refocus primarily on deep dish pizza as a main component of our menu. So that'll be coming very soon. We ordered a professional, like, full-on commercial pizza oven, and we are expecting delivery of that in early March, late February to early March. And then so a couple days after that, we are expecting to roll forward as sort of a new concept. Many of you may know that we were formerly Oak Park Brewing, also Hamburger Mary's of Oak Park. The Hamburger Mary's is gone now. That was it was an amicable split. It was my former partners were really the driving force behind the Hamburger Mary's. Now they are gone, and I am basically running the whole show. So, well, I have a new partner, but he's it doesn't matter. Long and short of it is that it's now 100% Oak Park Brewing. It's 100%, no chain relationship. No, it's just a small business in Oak Park, and really that's how we always have been. But that may have not been immediately obvious to a lot of people. Anyway, so that's the first beer I've got for you, is the saison. It's one of my favorites. It's one of the beers from a technical standpoint that I think we do really well. And feel free to, shoot me any questions you have about it. I'm always happy to talk beer. Our website is oakparkbeer.com. My email is jim@oakparkbeer.com. I will, anybody who wants to talk to me at any time, I'm ready for you. Sorry, go ahead.
I love your Saison. I think that Saison is great. Such a good one.
Thank you, dear. I appreciate that. I'd say my favorite of your guys is probably the brown ale. Just because like nobody makes an awesome brown ale in the whole area except for you guys. And I mean everything Chris does is great, but don't tell him that. I don't want him to think that I like him.
This is turning into a love-in, and I'm here for it.
Well, and that's how this community is, though. It's like we all are pretty good friends, and we all talk to each other quite a bit. We usually have a Christmas party for each other. That didn't happen this year, unfortunately, because of COVID. But yeah, that's how we are.
Let's go. I think it is worth noting, and I did mention at the beginning, but I don't think people realize that whilst you guys might be in some respects competitors, you are all, and I've seen from so many breweries behind the scenes, it's not so much a competition, it's more like a brotherhood. If someone's out of grain or if someone's out of hops, if someone needs a kettle to borrow, you guys in the beer industry, certainly locally, I've seen and I know about, everyone's willing to help everyone out. Everyone comes in for different tastings. They want to know what other brewers think of their, like you mentioned, like the good brown ale, or how's the IPA, how's this stacking up? You guys are all, I don't want to say competition, but in some respects you are competition, but more importantly, it is a community behind the scenes that you all help each other out.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, go ahead, Kath.
Oh, no.
No, seriously, go ahead.
Okay, I know I had my minute, but to circle back to what Elliott was just saying, I don't know that, especially the guys that are on this Zoom. I mean, I don't consider us competitors with any of you guys, like at all, because we're all just out here doing, like, Jim has rescued us a number of times with a bottling gun because we don't happen to have one on premises, and sometimes we need a bottling gun and Jim has one, so run over and grab that, or like, what have you guys got, or what do you have going, or like, help me out with this. I think the best thing about the craft beer community, and it isn't just this hyper local, like our four that are in the immediate area, but I mean, Illinois craft brewing in general, I would say is more collegial and more symbiotic than like, I don't like you, I don't like you.
Yeah, I mean, so I'd say like we're in competition with, primarily more Exit Strategy and one like on the same level that we're competitive with like every other restaurant that serves craft beer. It's like, sure, there's certainly a drive. I mean, that you brew your own beer on. I mean, otherwise, that's what keeps us in business. But it's hardly like it's hard. I mean, as long as AB InBev exists, we are much more in competition with trying to drive that kind of nonsense out than with each other.
Right.
Yeah,
sorry. I'm sorry.
Just don't put a horseshoe on your menu, Jim.
A horseshoe?
Dude.
My parents live in Springfield, so I don't know.
We haven't had one in years.
Anyway, I mean, you guys play to that. I mean, the point I was trying to make, that I think a lot of people from the outside might not necessarily understand that. I use competitor as a word because people would expect that everyone's trying to fight everyone else, but with the brewery industry, it's very much like a brotherhood and sisterhood, and you guys are all collaborators behind the scenes. Sure. But I want to know more about this beer, Jim, as well.
Yeah, sorry.
This cognac barrel aged bad boy.
So the story behind this beer is that this is a beer that I've been making for a very, very long time. Like most of us, I was a home brewer before I went going professionally. And this is a beer I would make for my friends as a Christmas present. I just, I made a 5-gallon batch and I would bottle up 22 ounce. Oh, how many 22 ounces are in a 5-gallon? I forget. It's like
more than one,
36 or something, whatever. So I would make it for, a certain list of close friends, and that would be their Christmas present for me. It was actually a really nice way to do something without doing too much, for non-family close friends. And, obviously when I started brewing professionally, this is a huge seasonal that I wanted to make very important to the restaurant. I think having a really nice holiday beer is something that was, I don't know, I'm repeating myself, but it was very important to me. So we started doing this beer. Our second year, I realized, well, we don't have much of a barrel program. We can do something. I could do just like a barrel aged imperial stout, and I think that's what we did our first year. But I was like, well, I should do this Christmas beer barrel aged. I think this would work really well, and specifically, I think it would work really well with brandy. So our first year, we found some really nice Wisconsin brandy barrels, and it went very well. I thought it turned out nicely. I lost a little bit of carbonation, but we live and learn. I had not done any barrel aging at that point, and it takes a little bit of a learning curve to get up to it. My second year, unfortunately, it went sour, but third year, I was looking for brandy barrels. I could only find, cognac is brandy. It's just it's like the champagne of sparkling white wines, kind of business there. So we put this one, this is 2018s now, into our, no, it's 2019s. I'm sorry. Wow, we've been here 5 years. Jeez, we're old. Yeah, so this is 2019's holiday gingerbread double, ale. It's the base beer is a Belgian Trappist double, which for those of you who don't know is basically it's almost the same thing as a Belgian dark strong ale. The difference is really semantics, but with gingerbread spices. So I think on the label I always put the ingredients. So nutmeg, cinnamon, ginger, cocoa powder, orange peel, vanilla,
molasses.
Tell me if I missed one, but it doesn't matter. But basically, whenever I do something that is not a beer flavored beer, and those of you who know me know that this is a big thing with me that I have my whole little world about that drives me crazy. Whenever I do something that's not a beer flavored beer, I look at Cooks Illustrated, which for any of you guys who cook a lot at home is probably my absolute favorite resource for recipes. And their gingerbread recipe, I based all of my spice blend off of the ratios that they have for gingerbread. And I think it just always turns out really well. So this is a recipe that's been near and dear to me for a very long time. Aged for a year with brandy barrels, I think it really cooks in very nicely. We try to release it in 22-ounce format bottles all the time. We bought a bottling machine from a brewery down in Tinley Park very cheaply because it needed some repair. I've still been working on the repairs, so this was done with the handgun, as mentioned by Catherine and Chris. But in the future, look forward to much more often 22-ounce and 12-ounce bottle releases from us. That will be coming much more, we're going to do everything. We're going to do everything done in bottles, delivered with pizza. That's our whole plan right now is to shift gears and go as an off-premise model like Catherine and Chris, or at least the ability to. So as soon as we're ready to go, I hope that you all are willing to order it. And I don't know, I feel like I'm rambling at this point.
You're not rambling, Jim, at all. One thing I was going to say, barrel aging has been a movement that everyone's done, and everyone's very familiar with the Bourbon County Stout and the Darkwood series from Rev and all these different other breweries. The Three Floyds, of course, is huge. What does the barrel aging process do to the beer that makes it such a big thing right now that people gravitate towards? Or for your example, like the cognac barrel, what do these different elements add to it, or what does it bring to a different beer?
Yeah, sure. It obviously, to some degree, it depends on the kind of barrel that you're doing, right? So we do 2 barrel-aged beers, and they represent both very different aspects of what barrel aging can bring. So with this beer, we're bringing in a little bit of the hotness of the brandy, alcohol hotness that kind of complements everything, and a little bit of oak and a little bit of, I guess what happens is that over the course of the aging process, you get flavor transfer, and you also get a little bit of cooling of the higher alcohols. The flavors sort of just mute a little bit, which can be nice because you don't want it to smell like rubbing alcohol. The other thing that can happen, and this is what we do with our other beer, which is an Ode Bruin. And for those of you who don't know what an Ode Bruin is, it is a sour brown ale. And what we do is we inoculate those barrels ahead of time. So we have had the same barrels for 4 years now. So they're fully inoculated with souring bacteria. I don't want to get too technical on anything, but the long and the short of it is that I don't have to take that sour bacteria and put it in any of my fermenters, which is dicey at best, I guess. I still don't have to worry about it. I don't have to worry about any of my beers going sour because they came in contact with the same. I'm usually I'm a pretty good cleaner. I think most of us brewers are, because you really have to be. 95% of brewing is cleaning, and the other 5% is cleaning, as the old joke goes. So, but it's nice to not have to worry about it. We just put it in the barrels, let it sour there and condition for a year, and then we can package it and sell it to you. And so there's two different effects that it can have.
Nice. Thank you very much, Jim. Someone was asking what kind of pizza you're going to offer. I think we already established it's going to be deep
I'm
dish.
sorry. I was completely ignoring the text thread. My bad.
No, that's not. It's not your job. Your job is to make amazing beer. I don't want you to focus on anything else.
I got a lot of jobs, dude.
So I think we established you're doing deep dish, right? You're doing deep dish.
But yeah, so we'll have deep dish is going to be certainly a big focus, in the sense that that's what differentiates. So we'll have the our main crust. I'd say it's the closest main example would be Lou Malnati's. It's gonna be very close to that, except we use a little bit of beer in the crust. It's a little bit our Hellas Other People, for anybody who's had that. Our Hellas Lager will go into that crust, and I'll have a little character from that. We also will do thin crust. We will do both vegan friendly on all of those and gluten free friendly on all of those. So those are everything's ready to go. It's developed. It's just a matter of deciding when to open. And that is just, this week or next week we're candidates, but with the weather the way it's going to be, I think that's very unlikely. So coming soon, date to be determined at the moment.
All right, Jim. And before we move on to Sean at One Lake, the easiest way for people to check out other brews and what's going on with Oak Park Brewing?
oakparkbeer.com.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, sir. All right, and as I mentioned, we're gonna move on to Sean now from One Lake Brewing. And Sean and Keith are in the dueling backdrops of fancy backdrops, if for want of a better word, and for blurred hands as well. Very matrix things going on there. So Sean, thanks for joining us, and I'll let you take it away from here. You guys are more influential, know your stuff better than I do. So take it away, sir.
Oh, thank you. I was going to open with the Good Morning Vietnam, but I'm in the basement.
You can do that if you want.
Yeah, I know. The resonance would be crushing.
Do it. Do it.
I wanted to open up with platitudes because I didn't get my chance to throw them out there. I love all these folks. Competitors is a word we use as a joke around here. I think I've borrowed more stuff from Kinslahger than they own. And I'm always looking to repay the favor. Yes, you can borrow my grain. Yes, you can have my hops. No, you cannot touch my kettle. And everyone else would say that too. But back to the beer today. I provided one beer because we do limited packaging. We only do takeout in crowlers. We don't do any big packaging. So that's our unit. We have one package that you can get, and we can put different things in it though. Today I put in a Schwartz beer. I've made this beer 3 times at One Lake Brewing now. And just to put that in perspective, we've been operating under quarantine and lockdown longer than we've been operating out of quarantine and lockdown. We're the new kid on the block in this equation. So this beer has been popular enough to kick out 3 times. This particular one you're drinking now is actually a pilot batch. We brewed it specifically for a company called Pub Pups, which makes dog biscuits out of spent grain. So we did a small pilot batch just to provide the grain for that. And I packaged some up, and that's what we're drinking today. It's very similar to our standard Schwartz beer that we do. Schwartz beer is traditionally a Middle German bottom fermenting lager. It's a beer that I think was invented to bring some interest to the Pilsner Vienna type of wars back then. I'm sure it had something to do with kilning capabilities at the time. But what it is really a light dark beer. If you think of squid ink pasta, where it gives you that color for effect and contrast and maybe a little bit of flavor, it's really not about the flavor. Schwartz beer is similar to that. Schwartz beer is a black lager. It's relatively light given its color. We use some processed ingredients. We use a barley that has the husk removed, and the husk has all of the tannins in the barley product, and the tannins are those back of the mouth puckering things that make red wine different from white wine. This product uses a dark grain, which tends to enhance tannins and that bitterness, and removes the husk. So we take that compound out, so it's a little bit smoother drinking beer. It's going to have some notes of roast, some very light coffee roast, but the whole point is really to have a dark, refreshing summer beer. And we've put this on a few times. I did it in the fall again this year because we participated, I think, like a lot of these folks in the Black is Beautiful charity. That was a tropical stout. I don't really make tropical stouts, so we repackaged this beer that we were confident in as a component to that charity event. This beer is 85% base malts, and it's about a 3-to-1 mixture of Pilsner to Munich. The Munich gives it a little bit of weight to help bring it up to the darker grains. The other 15% is basically an even split between the dehusked dark grain, which gives it the color and hopefully mutes the bitterness. Some caramel Munich, which is a darker caramel grain. And then I use an English pale chocolate, which I think kind of bridges the flavors between those two. This is an eclectic beer from an ingredients perspective. It's traditionally done with a lager yeast, and we have some great lager brewers on the call here. I really don't make a lot of lagers. Most of my lagers are fake lagers. I've probably done 3% true lagers. I use a Kolsch yeast in this beer, and I ferment it cool and long, and I wait, and that gives me, at least, that lager-like presentation I'm looking for, and that cooler ferment mutes some of those ester tones that Kolsch is kind of known for. Plus, these roasted grains are kind of going to blow that delicate flavor balance out of the water. So this beer was invented as a dark summer beer. It's something that we felt like would be a nice tool in our arsenal of rotating options. We can put it in any season to kind of fill in a dark beer without having it be overly heavy, like a stout or something like that. I think I'll talk a little bit about our brewing philosophy at One Lake. Again, we're the newer group on the block. I've been homebrewing a very long time and really enjoying advanced homebrewing. And I decided I just wanted to do this for real. So I bought a whole bunch of big stainless, vessels, and we started doing it. We don't have any, I don't think we have any real flagships. Again, we've been operating around a year and a half. May will be our second birthday. So it's hard to say you have a flagship. I do have beers that I've done more than once. I guess that's as close as you can count to a flagship. But we like to just kind of think of when the beers are going to mature and be ready. Think about the season involved. Right now, we're focusing on spring beers, with the next round being summer beers, thinking we'll kind of cascade into that. We like to keep a general rotation, some darks, some lights. somebody talked about, I think it was Jim talking about beer earlier. I tend to focus on beer. I have some beers that I put additives in, but those tend to be traditional additives. So like orange peel and coriander in a wit beer. I'll use some dark Belgian candy sugar in a Russian Imperial Stout to lift that alcohol up and keep it from being syrup. We just did our very first flavored beer last week. It was a collaboration with a small local coffee roaster in Oak Park, and we washed some of the beans in bourbon and recirculated the stout through that. It's the same color as this beer. It's a different beer, but it's available now. I think we have probably one of the smaller kits around. I think Chris pumps out a lot of volume and has a lot of fermenters. We have 7 taps. I think we just serve really direct from tank. So we just kind of stay within that small group and rotate as we have space and inspiration. We have a facility that's also like Catherine, we're uninterested. I think all of us here are uninterested in opening up in person right now. It's something I think all of us would enjoy doing, from a business perspective, but from every other perspective, it doesn't make any sense. And we know that our struggles are no greater than anyone else's struggles. So we're just getting through this together with the support of our community and our friends here. And it's been an absolutely enlightening and uplifting experience, other than all the bad stuff. The experience has really fomented these bonds and given us a lot of good community above and beyond what we thought we had before, which was pretty awesome. When we have extra stuff, we share it with these folks first. When we have events that we want to do something fun with, we talk to these folks first. Our place is 3 stories. We have a first floor bar area with about 60 seats, a second floor with about 50 seats, and a couple private rooms that allow us to have a large indoor gathering group of customers sometimes. Right now we have a rooftop that's stayed open throughout this experience. We've had to reduce the number of tables, separate them obviously, but it's been something that's given us a lot of joy to experience the interactions with the community still. This is the very first weekend we've been closed, and it's because we just really didn't want to put our staff out there in this weather. We had 40 reservations we had to cancel tonight from some very, very strange folks. We have heated air. We put a roof up. We put some windbreaks, but it is still outdoors. And when people call and ask if it's warm, I ask them to go out on the front steps and then ask me again, because it's the same temperature. We are doing takeout. We do local delivery. It's really me and my partners that do the delivery because we don't want to put that on staff. And as Catherine stated, we all have our zones of control we want to maintain. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to protect your product and presentation. I think it's one of the reasons we're all still here on this call. So nice. I really enjoy all these folks' beer. I could go on and talk about kind of what they've meant to me, but I'd rather kind of listen to Keith and get into his presentation, and then maybe start talking about, doing a little back and forth and seeing what we're hearing from the audience.
We're going to move on to Keith in just one sec. One thing I'm curious about, because a lot of home brewers, there are a lot of home brewers out there, and you mentioned the fact that your home brewing transitioned from that to wanting to start your business, and that seems to be the method for a ton of breweries of every size, from super micro to whatever. But when does that step happen? What was it that made you transition from I really thoroughly enjoy being a home brewer, making good stuff, to your friends saying, "Hey man, your beer is great," to then saying, "I'm going to start my own damn business doing this"? What is that step, and what is that process like? What does that do? Yeah.
I don't know who said it. Somebody on here, I'm guessing Jim will know, but opportunity is the combination of luck and preparation, right? So when luck and preparation meet, they can create an opportunity. And that's really what happened. I was home brewing for, I started in 96. So I don't know, it was like 25 years, something like that. I was lucky enough to learn from some really, really good folks. The first day I moved to Chicago, I went down to the basement of Goose Island when they were having the Chicago Beer Society meeting. I started asking the bartender a lot of questions about the beer, and she said, just go downstairs. They'll answer all the questions. So I went down there, and I'm surrounded by these people who've written, like, I don't know, 30 homebrew books now. And, you know, I was able to get ingredients from Goose, yeast. I was able to get ideas. They would let me walk around. They would let me just watch and ask stupid questions. And that engagement, that enthusiasm, that access just created an unquenchable fire in me to continue that hobby. I built a house in Bucktown in 2000 or something. I think the first thing I moved into the house was an 8-tap cooler. So I had room to brew and really spread out. Pool table was the second one, but my wife is still with me. It was a long journey from the inception of learning, its reinforcement through the activity and enjoyment, and then the reaction you get from your friends and people you don't know who are drinking your beer next to you and talking about it, and that's really trippy. We've all been there, haven't we? And I think it's really, you know, I'm sure part of it was just an absolute lack of desire to continue my current career. That was probably a small impetus to it. But I ran into some wonderful people, my partners. We found a great place that we decided we had the skill to turn around. We were wrong, by the way. We just did it anyway. Like 3 years after we thought we'd open or whatever it was. But I think to answer your question roundabout, you never know when that spark is going to happen. You never know when that opportunity is going to present itself. If you're ready and you're honest about it, it's easy to jump off. It's easy to not look back, and it's easy to dive into with everything you have.
Fantastic. Thank you, Sean. And what's the easiest way for people to check out what you guys are doing?
Yep, we do pickup, curbside pickup. We do delivery. We have some web orders. We also do rooftop dining when it's not 2 outside. It's onelakebrewing.com.
All right, Sean, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And as you mentioned, and you gave me a great segue, we're going to go on next. Last but not least, Keith from Kinslahger. How you doing, sir?
I'm good. Thanks, Elliott.
Good. And you've supplied one of your fantastic beers as well. And it only makes sense, seeing as you're the next official brewer to speak, that I pass the torch to you from Sean to continue on this great night.
All right. Well, before we get into Kinslahger and me, I'd just like to, take a moment. Let's all raise a glass and cheers to Phil and Lindsay and Elliott. Thank you for being involved. All the Warriors, everybody from Opportunity Knocks, for all the great things that they do in the community. We're happy to be here and support what you guys do, but really it's all about what you do. I mean, well, really it's about me, but after me, all of what you guys do. Cheers to you for that.
Cheers, everyone.
All right, let's talk about lager beer.
Let's do it.
Kinslahger, kinship and lager. This is where these two things come together. That's what we do. So lager fermented beer. The beer that you have in your kit there, we call it IPL. That's India Pale Lager. But it needs a little bit of context. You have to sort of understand where it comes from and what does it mean and what do we do. Kinslahger, I said it's the combination of kinship and lager, but a lot of people don't really, I think, have a full understanding of what lager beer means. If you think about beer, you have 2 basic categories. There are ale fermented beers and lager fermented beers. And these are just different types of yeast. In the beer making process, the yeast take the sugars that we get from the malt and the grains and convert those sugars into carbon dioxide and alcohol. And ale yeast and lager yeast just do it in slightly different ways. I think an easy way to think of it is similar to being, if you're cooking something. Let's say you got a piece of chicken breast, right? Chicken breast. You can take that chicken breast and you can put it on the grill, cook it really fast and hot, and you get lots of flavor from that cooking process, right? You get that char, that grill flavor that you love in the summertime. It's awesome. That's kind of like ale fermentation. The fermentation is contributing to the flavor of that chicken breast. Now, if you take that chicken breast and you poach it in a like wine sauce or some sort of brothy type of thing, you'll get a very mild flavor from that cooking process. Mostly you're going to get the flavor of the chicken coming through. That's more like lager fermentation. Lager does not have a big impact on the flavor, but it's still a process of converting those sugars to carbon dioxide and alcohol. So that's sort of the easy way to sort of think of what the difference between lagers and ales are. Both can be dark or light in color, low in alcohol, high in alcohol, everything in between. It's just a function of how those sugars are converted that impacts the flavor. So it's really more of a process. So what we do here at Kinslahger is focus on trying to develop both new beers, new flavor concepts using lager fermentation, that process, and also creating some classic styles that are very popular, probably from Germany and Eastern Europe, a lot of these classic lager style beers. So we take those two things and try to create something that's interesting and tasty here as a local brewery. What you have in the can there is a beer we call India Pale Lager. So the idea with this was to take these IPAs, so India Pale Ales, very modern, hop-forward beers that have frankly really evolved quite a bit over the last 5 years from the West Coast style, which I'm more of a fan of, which is a little bit more aggressive in terms of its bitterness, a little drier, to the more hazy, fruit-forward, little bit sweeter sometimes type of IPAs that are popular today. There's a whole range of things in there, and they're all great in their own way. What we wanted to do was to take sort of that classic West Coast IPA, a little bit more aggressive type beer, and use lager fermentation with that concept and create something that was sort of a blend between a lager beer, which tend to be known more for balance, and use more modern IPA type hops in that. So that's what we have in this India Pale Lager. We use a few different hops in there. It's mostly dominated by a variety that's grown in Michigan, a Chinook grown in Southwest Michigan, where I'm from. From that, we get some ripe pineapple type characters, probably the most dominant note that I get in that beer. But that's the goal behind the beer. It's just try to blend that that space between something that is traditionally an ale fermented beer, but also make it something that's lager. So that's what India Pale Lager is.
There are so many hops. I mean, people, you see so many different variants of hops. And I think, I'm actually just speaking for myself now. There's such a confusion as to, what gives it the acidity, what brings in, that fruity punch, like you mentioned with the like the pineapple taste and things like that. How do you determine, and what variant do you know and understand with an adding of ingredient of a hop to a particular different, base of your beer?
Yeah. So, well, hops are they're a flower, right? So hops are a flower that grow on a vine, and there are different varieties, and the different varieties have different characteristics. How we utilize the hops in the brewing process impacts the flavor that they contribute to the beer. So if we put the hops in early in the brewing process, we're going to get more bitterness from them. If we add them very late in the process, we're going to get more aroma and flavor from them. Individual hop varieties have different flavors. Like think of the apples. You go into the grocery store and you're going to pick up a Granny Smith apple versus a Red Delicious apple. They're completely different. They don't taste anything like each other, but they're both apples. Hops are the same way. So depending on which variety we choose, and the brewers have the knowledge, background to understand which varieties will add which different types of flavor, that gets incorporated into the recipe development and determines ultimately what the beer is going to taste like.
Jim's giving me some crap on the private chat right now for asking questions. So what Keith, what's the great website for people to, your website, or the best way for people to find out more about what you guys do, or where to stay up to date with all your offerings, etc.?
Oakparkbeer.com is the best place to find. Oh no! Wait! No.
Everyone, Keith wants you to go to Jim's business to buy all of Jim's beer that Keith doesn't have from Keith.
You actually can usually buy Keith's beer at my business.
Well, there we go. That shows the love and the partnership again.
And one lay. I mean, I don't want to, beat the drum that everybody else has been hitting, but it is a great community here. Love all of these folks, and love being a part of the beer scene with them. Kinslahger.com is where you can find our stuff. The webpage is probably outdated and doesn't get updated as often as it does or as it should. But on that webpage, you'll find a link to our online store. Our tap room is currently closed because of COVID. It will remain that way probably until the fall, when we're all walking around without masks and gathering in large numbers again. We have a very small space here, and as other folks have said, I just don't feel comfortable having folks sitting in here shoulder to shoulder in the current environment. So order online. Kinslahger.com will get you to a link to our online store. We have pickups 3 days a week. We do local delivery here within 5 miles of the brewery. That's either me or my partner Neil throwing some cases in the trunk. So it still stays in our hands. Everything's clean and sanitary.
Fantastic.
Catherine has a question.
Yeah, Catherine's got a question.
No, Catherine has a comment.
Okay. Is that better or worse? I'm not sure.
It's worse.
But you can tell she's a teacher because she put her hand up.
I'm trying to be polite, Keith. Anywho, can we talk about Sauvignon Blanc? I've got a couple of those in the fridge downstairs. They are delicious, and I'm so excited about them. That's we love Sauvignon Blanc. One of my favorites that Kins has done. That's a good one. I enjoy that one a lot, mostly because it speaks to my wine heart. And I see Sauvignon and I see Sauvignon, and I'm like, speak to my wine heart.
Yeah, see, I don't even know this beer. So this is a good opportunity for Keith, when he's finished berating whoever's off camera, to let us know exactly what that's all about.
That's Jim that berates people off camera.
Well, no, I can see Keith talking to someone off camera.
Sorry, that was my last customer of the evening here. So.
Dude, you're allowed to serve customers. That's totally fine.
Yeah.
I think you're having an argument with a cat or something. I could. You had the face of a man having an argument with a cat, trying to say like, you can't do that, and the cat's saying, I do what the hell I want. I'm a damn cat. That's what it looked like.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the compliment, Catherine, about Sauvignon Blanc. We're very proud of that beer. So my partner, Steve Lorenz, is our head brewer here. He designs all the recipes. He came up with the concept for that beer, and it is really amazing. He uses 2 different hops, primarily Nelson Sauvin and Hallertau Blanc, which are very unique hop varieties that contribute some very almost grape-like character. We brew that beer with a brute fermentation method, which just means it's very, very dry. And combining those hops with a very dry beer gives us this beer that kind of can almost have a wine-like character to it. It's a very unique.
So I think that's an interesting thing, because I know, and I'm sure this happens by you guys, like it happens by us. We get so many folks that come into the shop. They're like, I don't drink beer. And you're like, but I'm a brewery. And then you talk to your wine drinkers, right? Look at Sean. Sean's like, preach, girl.
What beer do you have for people who hate beer?
Right.
So that's the thing. So when we
cider, wine, and bourbon.
Oh, I say water.
Oh, I say that if they don't want the other 3, but then it's usually on the way out.
I'm kidding. I don't say water. I don't say water. I'm not mean. Much. Anywho, I think it's an interesting thing. Like when we get people in the shop that are like, what do you have for a person that doesn't drink beer? And you are like, listen, these are the things that you need to know when you come to a brewery, and it is that you're going to get mostly beer. So what's like a lot of us, all of us on the call do beers that will speak to non-beer drinkers, which I think in this, like, especially in our current climate, right? We're trying to cast wide nets and like we're using social media all over the place. And like, all we're trying to do is pull people in and be like, try the thing that we make during a pandemic when we've all been hit so hard that will speak to the kind of drinker that you are. So like Sauvignon Blanc, right? Like it's a great beer for wine drinkers. Why? Because it's super dry, unless you are like an 86-year-old retiree in Florida and you're drinking buttery Chardonnay.
That's very specific.
I guess that makes me an 86-year-old.
Maybe I was talking about my mom, but she's 72 and she's not on the call. Anyway.
I need to talk.
But like, okay, so Jim, like the Saison, like drier, right? It's that like drier wine thing that can happen with people. And you're like, all right, well, these are the things that you like about wine. These are the things that you can like about beer, right? And Sean, like, same. If they can't go with, you know, the alternatives, there's always those beers that are like, these are the things, right? That will speak to your wine heart,
Yes.
or that will speak to your not beer drinking heart, but please try them because
Yes.
we make a lot of, like on this call alone, we make a lot of beer.
We do.
Right.
And to take that further, we always get those, I'm not sure the audience tonight is, you know, new to beer or scared of beer. And I appreciate the audience coming to have this variety. But yeah, to speak about the experience with new beer drinkers, you try and have some things that ease them into the craft beer environment. You have a couple branches from there. Do you want to go hoppy? Do you want to go fruity? Do you want to go dark? Do you want to go stronger? You have a couple of gateway beers. Everyone has them, and they're important. But I also think in that regard, people who come in with a wall up, it's our job, and one of the best parts about this job, to break that wall down. You do it with smiles, you do it with stories, you do it with tastes, you do it with you know, a tour or a conversation. And the small business aspect, the handmade stuff, the take care of your neighbor and they take care of you aspect of this business has been the most rewarding part.
Which is probably a good point for us to open it up to the floor and see if anyone has any questions who's joined us tonight on the Zoom. If you, there's like the wave button, the hand up button, like you're talking to the school teacher at the front. If anyone has a question, and if Lindsay's there, if we can unmute people, if anyone wants to ask any of the brewers anything. I see Holly waving her hand like the queen, like the royal wave. So Holly has a question. And Claire Downs as well. I saw the raw wave there. No, she's shaking her head now. It's like, no, it's just my other half being funny. Okay. So Holly has a question.
I just want to say, I mean, I was never really a craft beer person. And then I met Catherine. She was the very first person I met. I was one of her first like 50 people.
You 100% were.
And I am like, you know, I slowly got into it. And I've slowly continued on. And the thing that I best about tonight is that there were beers here that I said to my son, oh my gosh, I would never try these. And once again, as you guys have all said, give it a try. And I can't tell you how many of these I would definitely order again. And I was a Miller Lite girl, when I first started this. So you guys have done a great job. I've been to all your places and I love each one of you has an individual style and continue that. And bravo. I just wanted to say bravo.
You and I, Holly, have sat at the bar and
Yep.
like pre-COVID, we have been bar buddies a number of times. And I think we started with Persephone.
Yes, for sure.
Right? Like we started, and that was years ago.
Yeah. I mean, I was one of the first, the mug club, the first 10 people.
Yep, that's right. Holly kind of.
And I applaud you guys so much for really continuing on with this. And these kind of discussions make a huge difference because you talk to people and you say, give it a try. And you really do learn a lot. And I really, really applaud all of you. And you guys all have wonderful qualities about all your places. I really mean that.
But we can't do it without you guys. I mean, that's the bottom line. It's like, we are nothing without our people. And if you guys, you're our people. Like we've said it a million times. We can't
Keep
do it.
going. Keep
I-
going.
You know what? And an important thing, and I think that is interesting as well, because some of us can be considered beer snobs sometime with our craft beer love. But Holly mentioned Miller Lite and almost like snubbed it. But all of us have a cheap beer that we adore and means something special to us. So my
Right.
actual question before anyone else asks, I want to know from each of the brewers, what is your cheap ass shit beer that you just can't give up, that you love to get to? I want to know what it is.
High
Whether
Life.
It's High Life. It's High Life.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine was High Life also. That's
Nothing wrong with that.
the OLB lager we made was my version of High Life. It's my
It's just-
back of the yard high school
I
drinking.
literally never barbecue without High Life in my hand.
You need a session beer. It's a great session beer. It's perfect for it. It's perfect.
Chris
Catherine?
Vallow.
Nowadays, I'd say maybe Modelo, like a nice Mexican lager, probably more than anything. Like I cannot even tell you the last time I had like a Miller Lite or Old Style, and it was probably with a gun held to my head. So
Okay.
I can my headache from a few weeks ago can tell you the last time I had PBR, but that's a different conversation. Catherine?
there you go.
I love
You give me some Corona Light with excessive amounts of lime. Good.
Keith?
I would say Pilsner Urquell.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's not a cheat.
Of course
$5
you would.
a 4-pack. Come on.
Hey, it comes in a plastic container that you can
It's
just pick
4
up and then
beers
rip
for
up.
$5. That's cheap.
can't do
I'll
that.
do it. I'll allow it.
Oh, counselor.
Do we have any other questions? Is there anyone else who wants to ask any of our fantastic brewers any questions? Renee said that Claire Downs actually does have a ton of questions, but Claire is still shaking her head.
I don't have any questions.
That's
But
a good question.
I just wanted to thank everyone. This is so fun. I played a very minimal role in the planning of this event. And I think it's so much. I haven't been out very much, but I'm having a ton of fun. So I don't know if it's the beer or the fact that I've been stuck inside, but this was great. And I really appreciate everyone being on here.
It's both, Claire. It's both. Trust. We all know how you feel. Does anyone else have any questions? Anything for the brewers about any of their beers, about brewing in general, about anything
Can
to
we
do
just
with
keep
anything?
hanging out because we don't see
Oh,
people
Phil.
very often?
Phil Carmody has a question. And he's got a fireman's uniform on, so he's clearly
Yeah, I-
already dressed up for Halloween, which is a bit early.
I got my costume.
John,
on.
I like your bumper sticker.
I don't really have a question. I did want to make a comment though, just to just kind of make it known how grateful we are for all of the partnerships that we have with you all. If you're kind of tracking Opportunity Knocks, you know about this time of year, we typically do the chili cook-off. And so we've committed for at least 6 months or so from here on out to not be doing any in-person events. So we're kind of reinventing and adapting, similar to the stories that you all are telling about how you're running your businesses. This is an example of what we're doing, and to be able to parlay and keep these partnerships going is really important. So I just want to express gratitude. You all are great, and this community that you have as brewers, you know, you're part of the greater community of which, you know, where we exist in that next sort of sphere out. It's a special thing that you all have, and so we're just very happy to be partners with you, and your commitment to us is outstanding. So thank you.
Our pleasure.
Glad to be involved.
On that beautiful note, I don't know if there's anything more to add, because it appears that you guys have imparted so much knowledge and wisdom on everyone that no one has any more questions. But don't be surprised if you have inspired a bunch of people to open up their own breweries, and don't be surprised also if people are going to be calling you guys up, asking you questions about hop notes, about different flavor profiles, about all those kind of things. You know, and exactly, Sean, drinking local is the most important thing. So guys, continue to support these wonderful folks and their outstanding breweries, because in turn they support the local community. And it's something I've been, I know many of you know, well, some of you may know me from Chicago's Best, and something that I've been harping on since the beginning of lockdown last year. Jesus, last March, my God. I've been keeping to say, you know, local businesses are the core of every community because of everything they do. It's a cornerstone of everything that happens within every neighborhood, every community all over the country. We talked about AB, you know, for a short while, but these guys here, what they're doing, the blood, sweat, and tears that they put into their business, continue to support them and in turn, you will continue to support your local community. So it's important that we all hold each other up and we all support each other. So thank you to our brewers. If everyone wants to give our brewers a round of applause for the wonderful, wonderful communication and work that they've done tonight, not only shit talking each other, but also the fun they've had tonight, which has been great to see.
It was really good.
Wait, can we stay on the Zoom and continue to shit talk one another?
You guys are welcome to. If you want to have some kind of SmackDown or like, Royal Rumble or
Sean ran away.
Sean ran away?
Oh, Sean's back. Great job.
He just wants to get the bourbon.
I just get in the bourbon.
Yeah.
We got a lot of problems with you people.
You know what? Close. Get this Zoom down to like 5. Let's make this
Anybody
Friday
that wants to
night
stay on
weird.
and drink bourbon, can do
Catherine,
it.
this is Lindsay. I do have the link set up till 7:30, so you guys have 15 more minutes of, just whatever you want.
Woo!
I mean,
I'm
Does
all
anyone,
on
have,
here.
does anyone have any hidden talents they want to share right now? Like any strange, like weird double jointedness or breakdancing that they haven't done for like 10 years?
Chris Mallow.
No, actually, I was going to ask Keith if, and then he
Keith
left,
mentioned
so
it, go.
never mind. I mean, I wouldn't talk to me either, so that's fine.
I mean, fair.
It's fine, Keith. I don't want to talk to you anyway.
Talk to Jim. Talk to Sean. You've got options. Talk to Elliott.
Oh,
Don't talk to me. I'm
Andrew
irrelevant.
Bill.
Questions.
No, it's Keith. I was going to ask you: are the Chinook and the IPL from Hophead Farms out of Baroda?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you, Chris.
I was going to ask you: are the Chinook and the IPL from Hophead?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we actually use the same variety in Posthumulus.
It's good stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got a little bit more pineapple than the pine, so it's nice.
Yeah.
A little
Yeah.
different than the
I
West
like
Coast
it.
ones.
I think it's also important to remember as well that Phil is currently serving the community and is on duty right now, Phil Carmody.
Yeah,
But
in
more
uniform.
importantly,
Which really only means that I'm the thirstiest person here. That's all it means.
right. That's what I was
I
going
didn't
to say.
realize
is
you're on
that-
duty, Phil.
Yeah, he loves beer, so I think we should all drink a toast and drink our beer to Phil, who can't drink beer right now. To you, Phil.
Thanks, Phil.
Well done. Rub it right on in.
Also, babe, he doesn't wear his uniform for fun.
I will make up for tonight, tomorrow, and the next day. Well in order.
Catherine, I've heard differently.
What's up?
I've heard differently.
Oh, hello. Oh, it's Zoom After Dark. I got you.
Hey, Phil, your CPR dummy is a little unclosed.
Did you see? So there's that one, and then there's the other one over here. That's the one that looks like he's been drinking my beer.
Oh,
Are they not talking to each other?
Girl.
No, we
Do you
keep them
guys- the
distant.
question is, do you guys have a kegerator in the house there, Phil?
you're not allowed to say.
Sorry, you broke up. What?
Those aren't pillows.
I'm pretty sure
That's a
Oakland Fire
maybe.
Department has one.
Guys, is our Zoom? Is it all right if the beer girl moves on to wine?
I'm pretty sure most people have left. Yeah.
There's
Oh,
We still got a few people on here. Bob Parks is out there.
Claire is still here. Woo!
I'm not leaving until everyone else leaves.
That's, you know what, fair.
We're just gonna stay here and
My
drink
own
until
feeling.
7:30 when it turns off. So
Or until the Reds win the World Series.
Party
Guys,
people, but I do
I
have
have
to go.
12 minutes of more human contact right now than I've had in a
Yeah.
long time.
You buy it? Yeah, Jim.
I
Yeah.
know. I don't like to talk.
We
to
miss
people.
all you guys. We can't wait to come visit you in person as soon as possible, as soon as it's safe.
Yeah, it's been this year's lasted a decade. It seems like it's been interesting times for sure.
You know what I'm sick of as well? I'm sick of watching shows doing episodes about lockdown because I'm living it. I
Yeah.
want to escape from it. Stop torturing me with what I'm already going through. Stop
Well,
it.
so Elliot, actually, a question for you is what have you all been doing during this?
What, the show?
Yeah, I mean, have you guys been able to still to do any episodes?
Yeah,
or-
we've been shooting. We kind of and another thing that I hate about all this is words that I never want to hear or use again. We have pivoted
Yep.
during this unprecedented time in my sweatpants we've been doing the show over Zoom. So we've been doing social distancing to a max by not even being in the restaurants, which for me is personally speaking is very difficult because I'm a people person. I love interacting with people. I love being in the heart of a restaurant or a brewery. I like talking with new people. I like interacting, and that's one of the fun things about the job. So stripping that aspect out of it has been really tough, but it means we're still able to shed light and promote local mom and pop restaurants. Still give them their 5 minutes so people can see and hear about them for the first time. So that's been good, but it's been super tough. But yeah, we're doing interviews over Zoom. New episodes have been coming out sporadically.
At least you're wearing pants.
Who says I'm wearing pants? You've only seen my t-shirt.
You said sweatpants.
I said sweatpants in the past tense.
Those aren't pants.
Prove it.
No one needs to prove anything.
Sweatpants aren't pants. They're just a towel that you wear.
Right.
Who's wearing a towel?
Whoever's wearing
all of
sweatpants.
us.
Yeah.
No, not all of us.
No?
Sean, put pants on.
I have pants on.
I've done the suit on top, gym shorts on the bottom for court. So
Guys, I will say this. Chris Vallow, okay, so I would love to say by day he's like something and by night he's a superhero. But by some of the day he is an attorney, and by some of the day he is a brewer. And when he is an attorney and he gets on like a full like suit jacket and dress shirt and tie and like the whole nine, and then is in like basketball shorts and flip flops, dude.
That's hot.
Like
that's a good look.
I'm
for
sorry,
everybody.
but you
it's
know what?
hot. It's literally he has his own hashtag.
It sounds to me like
Chris
that's a
Vallow's
classic.
hot.
That's a
It's a fashion.
classic formula for like a USA Network TV show called like brewing jury or brewing justice.
Rural juror.
Yeah,
Brewing
rural juror.
justice!
The rural juror.
Rural
But
juror.
by day he's a lawyer. By night he brews. He's
Yeah,
brewing
but-
justice.
That's kind
Only
of
on USA Network.
Yes.
You need a clip-on suit.
dude. I have not worn adult pants in like a year. It's been fantastic.
Stop talking.
I'm like
Stop
10
talking.
years.
Stop talking to people.
I didn't say I haven't worn pants in a year. I said I haven't worn adult pants.
Oh my god.
I'm wearing pants.
Stop! What are you doing? You're like on another floor and in another world.
I know, and I can hear you upstairs, and then 5 seconds later, you're doing this.
You're welcome.
Does she let you come upstairs, Chris, or do you have to permanently stay in the basement?
Yes.
Is this Real Housewives of Exit Strategy?
You're not wrong.
You're not. Yeah, you know that's spot on.
I'm pretty sure this is what everyone paid for, by the way.
Oh, definitely. The after show. This is where the real money's at.
The post credit scene is really where it's at.
Right.
Is this not the outtakes? I'm not understanding.
This is where all you guys take the Miller Lite bottles, take the labels off, and put your own beer labels on. That's when everyone's like, "Oh my god!"
That's how everyone starts.
This is where we find out
And actually, except the Miller Lights were twisty, so you couldn't recap them.
Oh.
This is also when we find out everybody that logged in but then walked away from their computer and has
Right, they're
no
still
idea
there.
that this is completely degenerated.
Right.
I mean, yeah, this is great. There's a lot of pictures. There's a lot of stills. It's all right. I'll take it.
Well, so Keith, I was going to ask you, what are the new ones you guys are canning now? Because I thought I saw a couple new labels out.
Oh yeah, well we've had. I mean, you know how it is, right? We've had to do a few new things in can.
Yeah.
What did we do? We just did a Doppelbock. We call Meditator.
Good one.
We did a Helles, traditional German style Helles. We've done the alt beer for cans for the first time, which is just been amazing, right? Like I shared this with you guys. Like alt beer, it was a foundational beer for us, right? The first beer that Steve learned how to make when his dad was going to Dusseldorf, that whole story.
First ale.
Yeah, couldn't sell it out of the tap room. Nobody bought it, right? It was my favorite beer. That's the one I always went to. We put it in cans, started flying out the door. People are buying it like crazy. It was one of our fastest sellers. We've brewed 2 more batches of it since then. All of a
Right.
sudden,
Some
people are
barrels?
like, hey, this alt beer is really good. I said, yeah, I know. We've had it for 5 years and nobody ever drank it. Now all of a sudden they want to drink it. Like, it's the craziest thing about how, I guess maybe tastes have changed if people are drinking at home versus in the bar. I don't know, but
It seems like people are gravitating towards traditional styles now. I mean, I don't know. I don't follow anything. It's, helpful that way when you don't know what's going on.
Traditional
Things are going
styles.
like
Does that
two
mean
different
drinking
directions.
in sweatpants?
Yes.
Yep. It's
Either-
it's a lot of lagers. It's a lot of words that people have been used to. I mean, I'm doing a fun new beer that it's like from the 1500s. Is anybody else doing some weird new beers that you haven't done before?
No.
I'm doing one called it's called a Cottbusser. It's from Cottbus. It's a regional beer style from the 1500s that was outlawed because of the Reinheitsgebot. I don't like to usually say German purity law out loud without context, but that's what it was. It had to do with the ingredients in beer being only barley, water, and hops. This was before yeast was invented or discovered, I guess is the right word. That was for Keith, by the way. Leeuwenhoek hadn't ground his lens yet. Anyway, Cottbusser's it's kind of like a wit beer. So it's got a 2/3 wheat, 1/3 Pilsner base. And then instead of the orange peel and coriander you're used to in a wit beer, it was fortified with molasses, a little bit of honey, and a lot of noble hops. So it's a completely different flavor profile, but I think it plays really well with the wit base. I made a couple pilot batches to try and dial it in, and the honey is the hardest part because anybody who's tried to play with honey or honey malt knows how much it can just beat the shit out of a beer. But yeah, I think I'm going to throw that one in the big tank because I had fun brewing it and people seem to like it. Anybody else doing anything weird or you haven't done before?
No,
I
think
mean, like everything we can now is kind of a one-off right now. So everything, like, but we're messing around generally with our hazies and what the hell? What did we just can?
Dude.
Oh, yeah, we did. Sorry, I can't believe I had a. Can't believe we just did a coffee maple imperial porter.
Oh, nice.
So I think in the realm of like beer that tastes like beer, we will adjunct a little bit into our beers, but never to the point where you cannot tell that you are consuming a beer. So like, and when we say that we're doing a coffee maple porter, it's very much a porter. You just are like, oh, that's a roasty coffee note. And like, there's a little bit of maple on the back end. But yeah,
I mean, I confuse your milk stout with a milkshake. So
I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
It
is that, okay, wait, can I just throw in that milk stout real quick? So we're doing this, we're going to try to do, we're not going to try, we're going to do like metered entry in-person event for what would be the St. Patrick's Parade Day in Forest Park. So that would be Saturday, March 6th, because we're not doing parade day. We're going to do it as like blocks of people in a time and then sanitize in between. But one of the beers that we're going to do, we're calling it the Valo Car Bomb. So it's the milk stout. Yeah, you heard me, girl. It's the milk stout with, we're going to do Irish cream and a little JMO in there and make it a beer cocktail that's going to be like stupid.
Let's sign up right away. Can we sign up now?
We're in.
Tickets will go on sale soon. Yeah, that we've got the Irish Red coming up, but like, I mean, it's a beer cocktail, so it's meant to taste like all the things, not like a thing, but like, yeah, we do the same. Beer should taste like beer. It shouldn't taste like, I don't know.
Wine.
A slushy.
No, this should taste like wine, Keith. Calm down.
Hey, I think the clock's about to run out on this.
Yeah.
Yep, our feed is about to run out.
thank
Thank
God.
everyone.
It was great seeing everybody.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
See you guys.
Good to see everyone.
Well,
That was super fun.
Thank you
Thank
all
you
you.
all for having
Thanks, Phil,
us.
Lindsay, and Elliott. That was
Thank you,
it's an
Elliott.
awesome time.
Thanks for all y'all do. Have a good night.
Everyone be safe.
All right,
Cheers.
everybody.
All right. Thank you.